This is lesson 3.1, do the math. So we're going to look at graphing some polynomial functions. All right, so the first thing I want to do is remind you of what the general parent function is. So if you remember in the last video, to do the math, we've seen a function, and it's going to be g of x is equal to a times 1 over b times x minus h cubed plus k. So if we know that this is where our a, our b, our h, and our k are located, then we can come over to the function and see the same thing in any equation. So when it says determine the values of a, b, h, and k, knowing the general formula will be very helpful. So you can see that, let's go ahead, this would be our a, b, h, and k. So you can see also that this is a negative in the equation, so that does matter on what the sign is here. All right, so this is easy to fill out if you know the general formula. So we can say A is 3, B is 5, H is 3, and K is 2. All right, let's see what the next question asks. It says describe the effects of the parameters of the equation of the parent cubic function. Okay, so if our function is, okay, let's write that down too. It kind of helps to see the equation. So all right, so that's the equation from above. I just used the A, B, H, and K to substitute those values in. Again, it just kind of helps, I think, to be able to see the equation when you're trying to answer the questions. All right, so if you remember, the graph of g of x will be something by a factor of 3. So A is a vertical stretch. B by a factor of 5 is going to be a horizontal stretch. And it's translated 3 units here. So it's going to be 3 units to the right. Always goes opposite of the direction you kind of think that the sign would take you. And translated 2 units up. All right, so that's just kind of talking about what those numbers kind of do to the parent function. All right, which of the following is the correct graph of the function? All right, so you know it's going to be a transformation of the parent function. You can see each one of these, the dark line, it goes through 0, 0. This is the parent function. So then you've got to decide which one is going to shift it in these directions here. So H and K are pretty obvious because this one's going to the right and this one's going up. So if you look at these gray lines are the transformations. This one looks like it's going over 3 and up 2 for sure. This one looks like it's went over 3 and up 2. This one has went the opposite way, so we know it can't be this graph. And this one's went over 3 and up 2. So far the only one we've been able to eliminate is this one. So let's look at our A and our B. So A is going to be a vertical stretch by a factor of 3. All right, these are kind of harder to see. You can see this one has not done much of anything except shift it horizontally and vertically. So I'm going to say we can eliminate this one, and we've already eliminated the other one. So basically we have two graphs here that we're going to try to see which one looks like the transformation. This one looks like it has been translated a little bit horizontally, not so much vertically. This one, it's kind of hard to tell. This one is stretched out. This 1/5 is really going to change things from the original shape right here. So based on this 1/5, I'm going to pick the first graph and see. Now, if you're not sure, you can always go to your graphing calculator and you can type in this equation. So let's look and see. Let's see. Let's hit clear. And let's do y equals. And if we do y equals, and we can do 3 parentheses, we got 1/5. I don't want to close my parentheses. Let's see. All right, 3 times 1/5 times my x is up here, minus 3 parentheses, raise it to the 3rd power. Got an arrow over to bring it back down, and then do plus 2. All right, so if I graph this, it should look like the transformation. All right, if I want to take those dots off, that's from a previous problem. So let's go second stat plot, enter. Yours may not have dots on it, so you won't have to worry about this. But then when I go back to graph, it's going to show me. And I'm going to do zoom 6, which is back to a standard 10 by 10. And that does look very much like this first one. So let's see if that is the correct answer. And that one is the correct answer. All right, let's look at number 2. All right, so it gives you the points from the Learn to Math. -1, 1, 0, 0, and 1, 1 were on the parent function. So we're trying to determine what the parameters of h and k are on the transformation. So on here you can kind of see that this has been shifted over 2 and down 2. And the vertex here is going to be at 2, -2. So h is 2 and k is -2. So those points are going to come from your vertex. All right, so it says use the value of k and one other reference point to determine the value of the parameter a. All right, so it says -1, 1 maps to what? So your -1, 1 would have been here, and it's going to map to this point, 1 and -1.5. And 1, 1 maps to, this would be 3 and -1.5. So I'm just pulling these points off the graph. Using either reference point yields the equation. All right, so using either reference point, they've started with the first reference points, and I know this because they're using a 1 here. So we're going to say 1a plus k equals -1.5. And then what I want to do is substitute the value of k. So if we go back up here and look, what did we find the value of k? So right here we can see that the value of k is -2. So I'm going to say let negative 2, substitute that in for k, and then negative 1.5. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So a equals 2 minus 1.5 would be plus 0.5. So we're going to set this equal to the negative 1.5. That was the other point that I put. And then we substitute in, we get a is 0.5. Let's see if that is correct. All right. C part. Write a specific equation for the function. All right, so we know that we found A. A is 0.5. So let's go back up here and see what was H and K. H was 2 and K was negative 2. So if we use all of these pieces of information and we use the general formula, we should be able to write g of x. Trying to erase this here first. All right. Let's see, g of x. So we're going to have our general formula, remember, is a, and our a is 0.5. We can also write that as 1/2. 0.5 is the same as 1/2. And then we have parentheses, 1 over b. So since 1 over b is just 1, we didn't have a b, then we can go straight to x minus h. And then we're going to raise that to the 4th power. Remember, we're looking at a quartic function. And then k, we can see k is negative 2. So that's going to be negative 2. We hit check, and that would be the correct equation. All right, so what we're doing is just finding equations of transformations using the parent function. If you have any questions, please let me know.